Another cast off method that you may need is a rib cast off. So this would be done at the edge of a collar or at the edge of your sleeves, your cuffs, I guess to say. Essentially it's the same principle, but you are going to do your rib stitch as you go, which means you're going to go between knitting and purling as you go. So this is where you really have to remember to pay attention to where your yarn is. So of course I'm going to start on a knit stitch, so my yarn is behind. So I'm going to go in with my knit stitch, and then the next one is a purl because I'm doing a 1 by 1 rib. So I bring the yarn to the front, I go in from the right, round, through and off. Okay, so I've got 2 stitches on this right needle, which means it's cast off time. So casting off is essentially creating another edging like you're cast on. So to do this, you always need 2 stitches on your right needle, and then you are going to do a little kind of once over. So you can either do this, like I said, if you've watched the cast off and knit stitch video, it's pretty much the same principle. I always like to bring my yarn to the back. So after I've done a purl stitch, if I'm doing my cast off, I bring my yarn to the back. So I'm going to take my left needle. This is the only time you use your left needle in on your right in these beginner stitches. Oh, she's sliding off. And then I'm going to do a little once over. Zip, and off. So I've cast off 1 stitch. Now we have to look and see which the next stitch is to make sure that we're doing the same. So if you can see, here's my little V, so they're knits, and that's a purl. So if it's a little V, I'm knitting. So my yarn's at the back, great, and I go round, through and off. I've got 2 on this needle, so it must mean it's time for a cast off. I'm going to go with my fingers this time just to show you how easy that is. All right, now what's this next stitch? Got a little bump, so it's a purl. So I've got to bring my yarn to the front, come in hot from the right, round, through and off. And I've got 2 stitches on here. I like to bring that to the back just so I can see, and I like to use my fingers. And we're trying to not hold the tension too tight on this because we don't want it to kind of pucker up our edging. Okay, so we've got a knit stitch here. Our yarn's already at the back, perfect. Round we go, through and off. Here's our 2 stitches, up and over. Just zhuzhy that along. Okay, I've got a purl stitch, so I'm bringing to the front. You can tell it's the purl, remember, by the bump there, whereas a knit's going to have a V. Okay, through from the right, over, and pull it off. Got my 2 stitches here, so I'm going to do, off we go. Okay, it's a knit stitch, I've got my yarn at the back, I'm going to keep going to the end, got 2 here, purl stitch, whoop, through I go, 2 here, so you can see it's forming a really beautiful little edge. I'm already at the back for my knit, looking good. Okay, I'll do it again with the needle in case you're someone who likes to do it with the needle. Okay, so if you're a needle person, you slot it in there and bring it over. Okay. Oh, I put these back on and my knit stitch was on wrong. I'll explain that in another video. Alright, and over we go. I'm going back to fingers. And the last one is a purl stitch. So bring it forward, purl through. Okay, bring it to the back. And you've still got 2 on there, so you've got to bring 1 over. So you've only got 1 is the key. And then you kind of pull your little needle through to create a big loop, and here's your yarn. You chop that off at whatever tail length is specified, or if there's no tail length specified, you just do kind of about 10 centimeters. I'm not going to chop it, but you get the idea. And then you bring it back through that loop. I'm going to put my whole guy through. Oh, can I do it? Bring my whole guy through, you wouldn't do this, you'd chop it off, because then you pull it to a nice little knot, and there is your beautiful little bit of rib.